ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. On behalf of the Khalsa Diwan Society, I welcome you all to this seminar. I would also like to thank Dr. Alexina, Mehta and Singh for their hard work to organize this interfaith seminar. I would like to welcome and thank all the speakers who are going to be speaking today. Interfaith dialogue is very important in today's society. It's about understanding our significant differences and also recognizing our similarities and working together for peace, justice, and healing in the world. It's neither combining all the religion together nor renouncing any religion. In fact, many people find that their friendship with people in other traditions strengthen our understanding and respect for their own tradition and religion. So it's a small efforts by Khalsa Diwan Society to put this seminar together so we can understand what other faith has to say. We can find the similarities, we can find the differences, so that we can work and prosper and progress together. Today's MC is Dr. Alexina Mehta. I will request her to come to the stage and conduct the rest of the ceremony. Thank you very much, and I again welcome you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dami. Thank you so much to everyone that has joined us here this evening. It is a deep pleasure to be here and to celebrate the 550th birthday of Guru Nanak together over this entire year in honor of interfaith, which is something that is very reputable and honorable within the Sikh faith. I would like to also thank the musicians. Thank you so much for your beautiful music this evening, for serenading everyone into the space. And I'd also like to thank Harminder Singh for your collaboration and for asking me to support this event. And I especially would like to thank the speakers. Thank you so much to each of you for agreeing to come together in the spirit of collaboration, connection, community, love, hope, happiness, joy for a better world together. I have the deepest respect for everybody who has come and made the effort to join us today. We also have many people that are also watching us online. So thank you to each of you that is sharing in this beautiful gathering together. So I will be your MC for tonight. I wanted to talk a little bit about a few details. We have bathrooms that are, you're going to have to take the elevator to get to them, so if you need to use them, please just take the elevator. They're downstairs. And if you have a cell phone, could you please now turn it off? Yes, this is why I ask. Because we wouldn't want it to go off when all the speakers are sharing their beautiful words of inspiration. So, I'm going to tell you a little story to begin. I met Harminder about 9 months ago, and we invited him to come to the Interfaith event in honor of World Interfaith Harmony Week, which is a United Nations celebration. We had several of the guests here today also attend that event. And I realized at that event that one of my greatest passions is interfaith. And I think that if you're here today, you also have this feeling inside of you that it's very important to create harmony and peace between us all for many reasons. For the benefit of our own lives and also for the lives of our children and for their children, the world that we will one day leave behind, to create a more harmonious, happy place for everyone to come to. And it starts from the heart for something which is very near and dear to all of us here, which is our spiritual connection in whatever way that expresses in our lives. Culturally, in our community, every expression is beautiful. I'm here today representing myself as well as the Numa Institute Foundation of Canada, which is an organization that I personally belong to, and we are very passionate about interfaith events. This is something that really drives our work to bring people closer together and to honor all of the wisdom traditions from around the world, including everyone that is represented here today. And our mission is to create a harmonious society, one person at a time. So without further ado, I will begin by introducing our guests. Each guest will have 5 minutes to speak about a particular virtue, and they're all speaking about a different virtue. And a virtue is an expression of love. So we'll see today how all of the different traditions express this beauty through their wisdom. Now, for the speakers, at the 4-minute mark, you will see a sign go up that says, 1 minute left. Please do your best to stay within the time limits, because as you can see, we have many speakers. When I put the call out for this event, everybody came back and said that they wanted to do it. And everybody was free. So we said, sure, we'll have 11 speakers. Why not? So out of honoring the time, we would appreciate it if you could do your best. So let me introduce our first speaker today, Dr. Jagjit Singh. I'm going to share his bio. Born in Jalandhar, Punjab, he did a PhD in groundwater engineering from Punjab Agricultural University in Ludhiana, Punjab, India in 1981. He served as a professor in soil and water engineering for 5 years, moved to industry in mathematical modeling and information technology, and worked in India on various projects till 1999. He came to Vancouver in December of 2018. Welcome, hasn't been too long. And started working on Sikhism along with other projects over the last 20 years. He's written papers, articles, and delivered many seminars on the environment, water conservation, nature, and Sikhism. And he is going to be sharing on the beautiful virtue of sharing.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, and welcome all. On behalf of Sikh community, it is my duty as well as to thank Alexina and everybody to organize the interfaith meeting. So we are celebrating Guru Nanak's birthday, 550th birthday this year. The birth was on 15th of April, 1469. So the whole year we are celebrating. I have been asked to talk on sharing. I will come back immediately on that because the time is too short and it's a big topic. So when we talk of sharing, what is sharing? Sharing is always a resource sharing. So what is the resource? What the Lord gave us the resource, what the nature gave us the resource. The most important resources which we feel in Sikhism is air, water and food. Because without air, the survival of anybody any creature, and with water it is not possible. So these are the basic resources. With the development of mankind, as humanity developed, air and water, people felt, cannot be controlled. It cannot be made as a commodity. So food was taken as a commodity, and it started building up to collect more food in terms of land, forest, agriculture, whatever you call it. This holding created, at that time, the inequality was created by power, by physical power, muscle power, and we started moving towards slavery and other things. Considering this thing, so that created a sort of an inequality in the society. This inequality ultimately has come into a form of knowledge, and I will be briefly going through it, and now it is the technology. You have said that we are live on Facebook, this is technology. So this is the resource. But this was not the resource, this is the resource which humanity created. And based on this resource, the wealth, the currency, all the nature, whatever you see, the resources, the inequality became a prevalent problem in the society. At the time of when Guru Nanak came in this world in 1469, even at that time the knowledge was a main resource. Whosoever controlled the knowledge was a wealthy, and still it is prevalent now. We see the technological companies like Microsoft, Google, everybody controlling all the, even Apple, controlling everything. So where is the sharing now? We have transformed the resource into a technology-based, into a knowledge-based. Guru Nanak analyzed this, that without knowledge, we cannot, creating equality in knowledge, we cannot. So the first philosophy in Sikhism comes sharing of knowledge. That is the reason Shabad is the Guru, and the concept of Gyan Guru, the concept of Gyan Guru followed from that. So now it comes how to share, what to share, how much to share. When we are sharing, there are always two identities. One is the person who is sharing, the other is the identity which is receiving. The sharing should be done based on the needs of the receiver, not the want of the receiver. This is clearly mentioned, and we should do the sharing based on knowledge and need of it. Now, how much to share is another concept. Well, we came up with a normal concept of in Sikhism that Kirt Karna, Vand Chakra and Naam Japa. These are the three fundamental pillars. Kirt Karna is honest earning. Honest earning itself, if one does it, it is a sharing. Because if you are not exploiting your customers, not exploiting anybody, you are automatically sharing. The other part comes what is the attitude, or what is at your back end when you are sharing? What is the expectation? People share because they have certain expectation. Sikhism believes that there should be zero expectation while sharing. Zero means anything. It could be favor, it could be anything in any form. So these are the basic, I have touched briefly the basic concepts in Sikhism, but then we can talk at length on each one, and there are a lot of hymns and other things available in Guru Granth Sahib. But when we are sharing love, passion, compassion, or anything which it should be unlimited sharing. And it is a concept that this type of sharings always increase and they do not get diminished while you are sharing. So I conclude my brief review on that and thank everybody for coming here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we are now going to welcome one from representing Tibetan Buddhism, Venerable Geshe Tenzin Chopak. Please come up with his translator, Sonam. Welcome, Sonam. So Venerable Geshe Tenzin Chopak is a resident teacher at the Tsengdok Monastery here in Vancouver. Also known as Geshe La, hails from the Amdo region of eastern Tibet and completed the Geshe Laramp degree from Gadin Jungsei Monastic University in South India. He has extensive experience in Tibetan Buddhism and was the resident teacher at the Tibetan University in Varanasi and also taught in Taiwan for many years on behalf of the monastery. Sonam Chusang is a lecturer in the Tibetan language at the University of British Columbia and teaches intensive Tibetan language courses with community engagement programs. In the summer of 2007, Sonam also taught Tibetan at the University of Virginia. He has been teaching the Tibetan language at various community-level universities throughout North America to heritage and non-heritage students alike the past 15 years. And Geshe La will be speaking on the virtue of compassion.
Samalaya Kontelesh Dan Yamalaya Akirin the Zebutolaya Nin Trumpen number Tam Nin Titolaya Tamsicha Okanumba Samalaya
Very special evening to everyone, and I would like to sincerely thank all the organizers and also the guest speakers and everybody who came here, and to those who have created this beautiful opportunity for me to share some of the teachings from Buddhism.
Number Shin come up, Pachi Penny, get Tanya, Chile, Yagale, Nia, capture the Seven Chine, Jana, and Lojum, and the Tachima Che, to Sinataya, Lomambrilla, and Lusum Hustler, Jana, and Tusile, Connection, and it
Speaking a little bit about personally about Geshe-la himself, he has spent so many, over 30 years in India, basically most of his life, and he has spent there in the monasteries studying, so he has very dear and close connection to India and for the generosity that India has always offered to the Tibetan refugees who are in India.
Visitor to Yore, Tirina, Nitaya, Yahanalea, Nititonia, Susu, Ya Nalenta Cube, Yahaki, Nia Nalenta Cube, Manyan Junsin Chair, Tana Shinkia, Nia Chica, Tayan, Kia, Constella, Nika Shuman, Nikimone, Tanobato, Lutrices, and those capture Tamaroham. Chevalateni, permissive and Tostine, Juniore, Yauchunga, Tilesonzane, Kirin, Andia, and the Namalingatos, Jail, the Samatama Yavak, Nikison, Yansine, permissive Kahuta, Stretchon, Tesonzani, Namalin, Samalo, Nayam Pavane, some Tashitiletam, Alia, Tutis,
It's also very touching for Geshe-la to see everybody from India and a lot of elders And when we think about our recent history within the last 60 years, Tibetans came into India and stayed there for over 60 years, still are with the Dalai Lama in 1959 for the past 60 years. India has taken care of us, and India has supported us in reviving the culture which originally came from India, the Buddhist tradition of Nalanda school. And for over this 6-7 decades, India has supported us from in all kinds and in all forms to re-establish and recultivate our Buddhist tradition.
다들이 먼저 두세 손짓에 Guru Nanak이 아니 통갈 아니야 손짓에 다들 통 손갈 통갈 손짓에단디 아니야 다들스네 야직 변세에 넘어져 아니 직타지고 땅 아니야 놓스네 낭샤 다이베나다 마수 아니 직게 통갈 손짓에 땅 약속이 가르레스 쇼이나 아니 마수 야 공세초기 아니면 야 수자간나야 로타치네 법바당 자가초기는 공세초기 통가선 지대고티 제당 디지털 값이야 공세초기 같이나 가르sun 버스나 아니 말이야 아니 내 통가래 아니 라타 약속이 야 미상부야로 상부체 당 아니 선바 상부체 계시야지 야 샤라 펜투마투나 노마기와 지게 아니야다 killing Tanya Masuna, maintaining Sunday, killing Tanya Shatina, Tanya Tinegi, that Yakarlea, Lata Yashudi's journey, Lata Chinato Sunday, what is?
As we are celebrating Guru Nanak's birthday celebration, 550th, we actually every year celebrate the birthday of Dalai Lama, and his messages regarding how or in what way we can make most meaningful effect or impact is really he encourages everybody to almost to take a vow that you would always try your best to be in life, and if not, at least not to harm anybody, not to hurt anybody. So those kind of messages on this very special important day maybe is the core of the message of how we can make this event meaningful, is to try to live or cultivate these amazing teachings and values in our own life.
대송자니야 대랭비에다야 뒤전대다고 아니야 뒤켜버체 아니면 뒤조자친구 대대직게 아니야 도시네 뒤조대당 뚱치네 말아서 공서주고 소문의 신진네 아니야 미 상부치 미야럽 상부치 아니야 샴페인 상로 아니야 축치부 아니야 냐면치 동행치 당 아니 장야 가소래 인지기 아니 세바 아니야 냐면치 동행치 어도치네 아니야 간다라 아니야 미 아니야 상부 아니야 즉 소수 미지 님부 야 아니 즉 돈양된 같이 용토에 지기 돌아야 간다스 고주도 어디 돌아야 상부지 당신에 마귀 난중 가서 여부여 어디 가려야 넘베 태와야 다지 간다스 지니 이렇게 당부도 돌아 상부지 당신에 그 길에다 자치 돌아나 모네란 부르나나기 통과려야 아니야 당아서 지금 손치체로 쳐붙여가지 잡아랬으면 도스.
We should again re-emphasizing really to reflect, look at ourselves as a person, and our pursuit of importance in our life is through putting the right effort that creates meaning, creates benefit and happiness to oneself, and to really reflect and then basis from where we think about how we can improve on top of that, and putting such an effort in this way, Ishala is saying he believes this would be the best gift for really living the legacies and messages of the special or very holy beings like the Guru Nanak.
Taya me Sambudam Yarab Ania Chik me and Momentame Chitsona Lone Chip Chanjo Chisachitam Sambig Gabu Yachipeni Chiagitaya Zawa Tusa Kavaresina Ani Ya Nimji Yamechiatis Ani Kesi Nimji Diani Buya Nimji Yame Yabuchavina Water Yachik Muni Susu Kandu Nesa Kori Ani Yatachik Mizachik Nala Inare Lombachik Nalo Inare Ani Chik Ya China Nam Samalaya Tiki Dembachis Katine Simba Kibuman Mitsitaju Yon Tuechik what the Lichi Yagita or Ninjiki Niko Penos and Chibus now to teach your race.
And then this really brings us to the question of in what way or through what practice can we cultivate these good qualities in us, and it would really bring us to cultivating compassion and loving kindness and empathy for others. The more we have acquired those qualities through practice, then it will naturally bring much more happiness in our life and people around us. So it's really, when we look deeper into what are the factors, what are the paths, what qualities can we cultivate that will bring happiness, it comes all down to how to cultivate a compassion within yourself first.
Oh, yeah. This was number two, Ania, Chica, Masut, Lady Daya, Penia, Ani Lachi, Yodin, Giving somebody, Ania, Nimatrini Sonte, Ania, Yaketan, Ania, Yaman Chicken Sabe, Ani Same Killen, Shachine, Ania, Same, Ania, Martin, Hossein, Dusine. That's on our chest, I had to so much camera in Saname, Tanya, Namshaki in Sen, Namalati, Samalaya, Ariam, anybody, and just the shootings.
So to conclude, Geshe-las, again, I would like to request everybody to really reflect and think in a way how we can cultivate this important quality within us and whereby it will bring happiness in our life and life around us. And then again, we would like to thank everyone for this amazing opportunity.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la and Sona. Okay, so we're going to now welcome up Dr. Tanya G. Dr. Tanya G is representing the tradition of Numa. She is a veteran doctor of traditional Chinese medicine with over 23 years of clinical practice and the founder of a beautiful clinic in Vancouver. She is also a global speaker and educator on the subjects of health, wellness, natural medicine, and spirituality. She is the coordinator of Numa Canada and is deeply inspired by the sacred teachings of the Numa Institute. She devotes her time to serving their many philanthropy projects as well, and her life in general is dedicated to the virtues of service, compassion, and love. And she will be speaking about the virtue of patience.
Namaste. In Spanish, we would say buenas tardes, which is good afternoon. Dr. Alexina Mehta is my best friend. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Harminder. Where are you? You are also my best friend. Thank you. And thank you all for showing up. This is quite extraordinary. My name is Dr. Tanya G, and thank you to Alexina Mehta for my bio, which is beautiful, thank you. I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine, and we believe that the spirit influences our health. I, for the last 13 years, have been involved with an organization called Numa, which is breath. Breath, vital force, God. Breath of God. Without the breath, we expire. So we all know that to take a breath is vital. And as we breathe in the air, it revitalizes our system to give us the strength to be conscious. Today I chose the virtue of patience, and I wanted to read a little bit about Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak fought for internal change. He was radical. He inspired people to know that the change within your soul and the oneness of God was the most important thing. But do you think that Guru Nanak did this in a moment? No, it took time, and he had obstacles. For 30 years, he spoke with many learned people. Do you think he was met with obstacles and opposition? Yes. And what Guru Nanak developed deeply within himself was patience. Did it take a day to create the beautiful temples in India, and this beautiful temple that we're in now, and our physical temple? No, it took time and patience. In Numa, we understand that patience is a virtue. But what I didn't know was it was the antidote to anger. And in traditional Chinese medicine, I know that anger is a poison. Anger, frustration, irritability, resentment, all falls under anger. Anger is like a legion head, a manager of these negative emotional states. And I also know that when we feel anger, our blood pressure goes up, our face turns red, everything starts to pound inside, we go into tension, ready to fight, whether it's through our words, our physical stance, and that's poison. And the antidote is patience. When we're in a heat of the moment of anger, we lose our senses. We literally become brain dead. All we see is the fight. I mean, that's not the fight we're looking for. We, as Numa would say, are solar, the sun, warriors. Inside our hearts is our divine spark. We all have it. Guru Nanak knew. We all have it. We are all one. Within our hearts is the spark of God. And we will fight for that. The virtues reside within our hearts. And in Numa, we call it the inner being, the immortal inner being, all-encompassing virtue. In Numa, we understand that in the face of anger, we must bring up the shield, a mirror, so we can see it. This is called self-observation, which is necessary for waking up. Self-observation. Observe the self. See the anger and the irritation and the frustration, the poison. Hand over the heart, remembering the divine inner being that resides in the heart, the all-encompassing virtues and patience. is the antidote to anger. And we need the breath, the pneuma, the breath of God to fuel the strength of the virtues. We've all experienced anger, maybe even today. Hand over the heart, the breath of God. And remember patience, the antidote to anger. Oh my gosh, how much time do I have? You didn't do anything. Do I have a minute? 1 minute? Okay. Well, I think the most important thing about patience is not necessarily with somebody else or situation, it's really about us. We will fail again and again and again. We will have anger again and again and again. But with the proper work, the self-observation, the attention, the anger will diminish, diminish, diminish. And anger encapsulates patience. And as we diminish the effects of anger and anger itself, we will release the patience. It comes deeper into the heart and makes this heart stronger. Thank you, everyone, on behalf of the
Thank you, Dr. G. It's not mine. Beautiful, inspiring. Thank you so much. Okay, so we now look forward to welcoming Mark Buehler, representing Christianity. Mark is the husband of Catherine, father of Crystalline, Laura, April, and Jonathan. He's dedicated his life to Jesus while traveling in India in 1977. He has a Bachelor of Science in Zoology from UBC, a master's degree in counseling psychology, and went to Kenya in 1981 and has returned for good in 2011. He worked there in education and community development, established homes for AIDS orphans, tree plantations, programs in jails, and also worked for Fellowship International. He is seeking to facilitate biblical multi-ethnic community within any area in Vancouver, and is involved in the food bank, feeding the homeless on Hastings Street, international Bible studies, leadership development, speaking, mentoring, building relationships across a broad range of political, religious, ethnic, and socioeconomic strata within the city as well. Please welcome Mark.
I don't know why they always put these microphones so low. Good evening, Sat Sri Akal, and sincere thank you to our generous host, our gracious chairperson, our distinguished guests, and our amazing audience. Thanks for the honor of being invited. I'm Mark, you've heard my profile. Those titles, the ones that mean the most to me, I appreciate being called Bwana Mti, or Mr. Tree, is what they called me in Kenya, for a passion for saving a forest in Kenya over 20 years. Babu, for the privilege of being a grandfather to 6 or 7, almost 7 grandkids, and for being called a child of the King through my decision to follow Jesus as my Lord and Savior 43 years ago in New Delhi, East Patel Nagar. What I am not is a singer, so I will not clear the house by singing my introductory song written way back in 1965, but kept alive by many musicians since. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, not just for some, but for everyone. I'm sure each of you could say something about love. In recognition of Guru Nanak, let me mention 2 phrases he said about love, according to Wikipedia. Even kings and emperors with heaps of wealth and vast dominion cannot compare with an ant filled with the love of God. Those who have loved are those that have found God. Tonight I'm going to speak about what the Christian Bible teaches about love. It mentions love many times. The Old Testament, written before Jesus, commonly used the Hebrew word avah. Now, I'll probably mispronounce it, but we've already talked about patience, so that will be okay. Which had a wide meaning encompassing everything from romantic love, friendship, and even elements of honor and preference. In the Old Testament, we have the source of the well-known Great Commandment, well-known in many circles. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Since Jesus spoke Aramaic, he would have spoken avah for love when he shared that great commandment. Under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, the New Testament writers, after Jesus, used 4 Greek words to develop the nature of this love. Describing these types of love will help us focus on the uniqueness of God's love. There is eros, or sexual love, a beautiful God-given gift, but history has shown it can lead to destruction through acts of passion. It can easily be a self-serving love rather than focusing on another. There is phileo. You think of the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. It is brotherly love. I am blessed to have many friendships, but I've also seen the horrific effects of tribal and sectarian violence. We sought to serve 10,000 internally displaced people due to a breakdown of phileo love. Storge love refers to the bond between family members. I have a loving family, but I have heard of too many family feuds, estrangements, and fights over wills to convince me that this type of love is not enough. So we come to what's called agape love, unconditional love. It is used in verses from the Bible such as 1 John 4, 7 and 8. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. It means loving someone else without expecting anything in return. I first experienced God's agape love when I was in India. As I cried out to God about the mess I had made of my life through selfishness and asked for his forgiveness, I experienced his unconditional love and acceptance. He erased my shame and restored the honor that I was created to have as a child of his. I experienced forgiveness and no longer had to feel guilt. I felt his power remove my fear. The experiences I have just shared are what the Bible refers to as salvation through the gospel. John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." God's ultimate act of agape love came as Jesus came to earth to live and die among men and show them the way back to God the Father. God the Father affirmed it through bringing Christ back to life. 1 John 4:10 summarizes the core of Christianity. This is love. Not that we first loved God, but he loved us and sent his Son as the atoning sacrifice for our shameful acts. I love my wife. We served together for 20 years in Africa, parented 4 children, and are now enjoying 6 grandchildren. We experienced much love in our family, but sometimes I did not feel eros, phileo, or storge. I did not love my wife and children as I should have. I did not even like them sometimes. But thanks be to God that he supplied the agape love for me to continue to choose love regardless of feelings. And on October 6th, Catherine and I will celebrate 40 years of marriage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So we now welcome Rabbi Joseph Saltaun, representing Kabbalah. Joseph is a master of Kabbalah, writer, researcher, lecturer, commentator, and scholar of Kabbalah and religious theosophy since he was 22, having started in 1982, and is one of the few privileged to be ordained rabbi and sage of Kabbalah by the renowned Rabbi P.S. Berg. His method of teaching follows the teachings of the original Kabbalists, such as Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, author of Zohar, Rabbi Isaac Luria, amongst others. In Brazil, he directed the Kabbalah Studies Center in Sao Paulo between 1997 and 2004. In 2008, he founded the Institute and Editora Meron for Kabbalah to be part of the cultural dynamics and to rescue people's cultural origins. Many books on Kabbalah and in different languages have been published, thanks to his support. He has published books for all levels of students, thanks to the faithful devotion and profound experience, and he's considered an expert on foremost matters within Kabbalah in our times. He will be speaking on the virtue of zeal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mehta. And again, it is a great honor for me to be here in front of you in the Sikh temple. And it is an honor to share with my colleagues time, even though short, with a special message about virtues. The first question that comes to mind is, why are we so interested in virtues? And in my opinion, it is a way of becoming like God. Virtues are divine attributes that God presents in many ways, different ways, and sometimes even in conflicting ways in the Bible that we read, whether it is the New Testament, the Old Testament, the prophets. We see many attributes of the divine coming into being. We live here in the glow of the divine presence on earth. Whether we are aware of it or not, it is part of our being. Today is the anniversary of Guru Nanak, which is a great honor for me again to be here and among the Sikh community and his followers. But today also coincides with a very special day among the Jewish faith, which is the new year of the Hebrew calendar. It is called Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of a new cycle. So, again, which even makes my emotion and the honor of being here even more divine for me. Now, the virtue that I chose to speak about is zeal. What does zeal mean? And what is a zealous person? We heard about many zealots throughout history who came in all nations, in all kinds of beliefs and faiths. We heard that even Guru Nanak, he was a certain radical in his own times. So what can we learn about zeal that can help us perform better as human beings and also manifest these divine attributes through us here on earth? If I may, I would like to read from the Bible. It is a section that appears in the book of Exodus, the 10 Commandments. And we know that according to the Jewish faith, the 10 Commandments is a main and fundamental pillar of all what we believe in. Only 10 pronunciations that established a new consciousness in our world. This happened, for those who may not know, 3,300 years ago on a mountain called Mount Sinai. And there God appeared to Moses and told Moses to speak in his name. And among the pronunciations or the commandments, we read a very sometimes disturbing sentence or pronunciation, which says, "For I, the Lord, your God, am a zealous God, visiting the guilt of the parents upon their children, upon the third and upon the fourth generations of those who reject me, but showing kindness to the thousandth generation of those who love me and keep my commandments." So, if we are here trying to combine our human traits with divine attributes, definitely it is a challenge. But this is how I see our subject today. Virtues of whom? Of the divine, of God. That we as human beings have a commitment in order to what? To bring forward these virtues in our attitudes, in our work, in our family, everywhere, every single moment of our life. So a zealous person can be seen as a person who stands steadfast to his own commitment and his own belief. Now, if I may compare Guru Nanak to a person who appeared, again, 550 years ago, in a certain community in a certain time, but he had his own vision, his own calling, his own soul, his own demands of his own self. Now, he brought some new ideas, new visions, to a world was not so accepting, or which was not so accepting to these new ideas. But he stood steadfast, committed to his own self. We also, in our life, we have to stand high, stand firm in our beliefs. We may be ridiculed by our friends. We may be even hated by our beloved ones. We may be condemned by society, by the laws of just and what is not justice. But these are the moments where we are tested. Now, many people who were more, confirming in their ways are not remembered. But those people who stood out differently are remembered for all eternity. Now, if I may say, or ask a question, why does God have to remember the guilt and the errors and the transgressions of many, many generations to come? And also the good. Well, once we choose our own unique path, yes, we are expected to make many, many mistakes along this path, because we are not following a path that was already written and established correctly by others. It is our own unique path. And that is why we could expect to make a lot of errors and mistakes, and even bad things. But the most important thing is to remember our errors, our mistakes, and to learn from them as we stand alone, sometimes against the whole world. But even though standing alone, we are with God as a divine attribute. And of course, we should also remember the good lessons that we learn along our path. On this occasion of Rosh Hashanah, the new year, the Hebrew New Year, I would like to bestow upon all of us blessings of prosperity, of love and health, and may we all grow together. Yes, manifesting these divine attributes in a human and humane manner. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful blessing. So we now welcome Shams Hirani, representing the Ismaili faith. Shams has been serving the community in a voluntary capacity in Canada and outside. He currently is associated with the Ismaili Tariqa and Religious Education Board for BC as an alwais, which means a missionary who is responsible for enhancing religious education and understanding in the Ismaili community through sermons, sessions, workshops, and other similar forms of learning. Shams also served in similar roles in other parts of Canada and in Pakistan for Edmonton and the Prairies, and in Karachi, Pakistan as well. Over the years, he has been involved in interfaith dialogues and engagement with different communities, including Christianity, Hinduism, and also has facilitated faith-based questions during interfaith community events. In his professional life, he works in sales and business development with a leading North American organization. Welcome, Shams.
Thank you very much, Alexina, for a generous introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The management and the leaders and the organizers of this event, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone, and assalamu alaikum. My name is Shams Hirani, and I belong to the Ismaili Tariqa and community under Islam. While I will be very, very mindful about the time, I just wanted to begin with a small little example of nature around us. We see sun shining all the time, river flowing all the time, mountains, trees, everything around us. And we feel blessed. Why? Because they never stop doing what they're doing. And that is giving. So the topic of today's talk of mine is the virtue of generosity. The inspiration that a human being can draw from nature is invaluable. We, as part of this universe, we are bound to be giving each other. And that is the virtue that every other religion on the planet emphasizes on and encourages. And we have already heard something about sharing from the Guru Nanak tradition as well. Similarly, Islam is not any different in that. It values the virtue of generosity, and it values the virtue of giving and voluntary giving and service, and that too is unconditional, not expecting anything in the process. But there is an attitude that we associate with giving, and the attitude to that is that we all are, where are we from? And the way, how beautifully in the Quran, God, Allah, actually emphasizes it as خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. We have created you from one soul. We have created the entire human being, the human race, from one soul, from a single soul. And that itself is an inspiration for us to be generous, not within a community, not within a religion, but to the entire race. And that is why in Islam, the virtue of generosity is beyond race, ethnicity, religion, faith, culture. It goes beyond that. And having said that, the Ismaili community that I belong, which is the branch of the Shia community of interpretation in Islam, values this generosity deeply under the guidance of His Highness Prince Karim Aga Khan, who is our present Imam of the time and who is the 49th hereditary Imam of the Ismaili Shia community, and who is the direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So the virtue of generosity, we believe, is deeply rooted in the history and the traditions of Islam. In the examples of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and also in the examples of all those Muslims, different communities, different civilizations within the Muslim world, how they have practiced generosity over the last 1400 years. But here's the thing, generosity doesn't end here with the limited notion of just material giving. In Islam, generosity is also time and knowledge. The generosity of time, the generosity of sharing knowledge. And when we talk about that, the Ismailis, the Ismaili community within Islam, deeply value this. Recently in the Diamond Jubilee, and then 10 years ago, in the Golden Jubilee of His Highness Prince Karim Aga Khan, the Ismailis came forward and pledged the Nazrana, that was the gift to the community. And that Nazrana was not any material Nazrana, it was over and above the material Nazrana. That's called time and knowledge, the voluntary service, the spirit of voluntary service that we wanted to give to each other. And Aga Khan developed a network, which is the Imamat institution within by the Ismaili community, run by His Highness, chaired by His Highness, the Aga Khan, lives this virtue of generosity in spirit, in the development of the quality of life of people, in the developing world, underdeveloped societies, in health, education, economic development, restoration of cultural heritage, and stewardship for the environment as well. And in many other areas where the quality of life, the improvement of quality of life is very, very important. So here is the attitude towards generosity that Islam believes strongly, to make it practical and make it happen in our practical lives at the end. The notion of generosity, the virtue of generosity in Islam, calls upon us, and it's an opportunity for all of us, the entire human race, to be open-heartedly engaged with each other in the communities, within the faiths, and in different religions and cultures, and creatively engaged with each other in making sure that we live upon the virtue of generosity, and making sure that diversity, the notion of diversity in the world, is no more a burden. It's no more a burden. Rather, it is taken as a blessing. That's how the mindset improves when we cherish the virtue of generosity. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shams. Isn't everyone so inspiring? Yes? Let's just do a round of applause so far. Is how much inspiration we're all feeling right now in the room. And nobody has left yet, which is a really good sign. Okay. Thumbs up. Okay, so we are now going to welcome Miss Nora Weber, representing the Faith of Baha'i. She is a communications specialist with a global perspective and a solution orientation in general. Believing that each of us can make a difference, she works in various areas of social justice, conservation, and culture. As a world citizen first, she sees culture as the soul of a country and seeks to celebrate our inclusive history and our diversity as the strength of our nation. It is her strong belief that the world is a global village. People long to connect with each other, and the best way to facilitate that is through stories and to celebrate our shared journey. And she will be speaking on the virtue of truthfulness. Welcome.
Actually, I'm going to start off by telling you I lied. I'm replacing someone who was going to speak on truthfulness. And I I decided that I would speak on justice, because the more I meditated on it, the more I thought that was foundational in this society. And I find it so interesting to be here. This room bears witness to a great injustice to your community. And I truly believe that we as Canadians, all of us, need to face our shadows. And this is part of our shadow. I work a lot with Indigenous people as well. There are communities in Canada with no safe drinking water. And almost all of those are Indigenous communities. So I'm going to start with a quote from the Baha'i writings that speaks to justice. O Son of Spirit, the best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. If thou lovest me not, if thou lovest me, turn not away therefrom, if thou desirest me. And neglect it not, that I may confide in thee. By its aid thou shalt see with thine own eyes, and hear with thine own ears. Thou shalt see with thine own eyes, and not through the eyes of others, and shalt know of thine own knowledge, and not through the knowledge of thy neighbors. Ponder this in thy heart, how it behooveth thee to be, for verily justice is my gift to thee, and the sign of my loving kindness. Set it then before thine eyes. In the Baha'i faith, the highest, I've been told if you know something well, you can distill it down to a few words. In the Baha'i faith, that word is unity. And it's unity in diversity. It's this room full of beautiful faces and many cultures. And the Baha'i faith tends to look at things both from an individual point of view and from a collective point of view. And so if I look at justice from an individual point of view, the first thing that I think about is how we teach our children. And there's a German psychologist who said that how we view our parents is how we view the Creator. And so if we teach our children justice, we teach our children that the Creator is just. And I had an instance of that where I met a woman who was multiply abused by relatives. And because I just read Alice Miller's book, I asked her what she thought of God. And she said, I thought God was a sadist. So how we teach our children is how they reflect themselves in the world. And how they reflect themselves in the world is how they will serve humanity. We're told in the Baha'i faith that most of the attributes that we have are attributes of God. There's one shining attribute that is the attribute of ourselves as humanity alone, and that is of service. And I know that's a very, very high attribute in the Sikh religion as well. And we're told that we walk the mystical path with practical feet. Again, I know that's reflected very much in the Sikh religion. It's why you have kitchens everywhere, and you feed everyone. My background is that I worked at the United Nations for the Baha'i International Community. While I was there, I had the bounty of working with advocates for African food security, who were African women who were there with other NGOs to bring attention to the fact that if you fund women in development, it's sustainable, which we now know through microbanking. And currently I'm working with Justice Education Society, which is making legal information and justice accessible to all for free. We also work in the Central American countries, And in those areas, they're mostly almost failed states. There's a great deal of corruption in the governments. There's a great deal of femicide, and if you don't know what that means the murder of women by men just because they're women. And so we're educating the whole justice system there. Justice reflects on everything from and it's been spoken by some of the other people here, the extremes of wealth and poverty. That's an injustice. There's climate injustice. I think we've all heard Greta Thunberg speak to climate injustice, and we see monsoons in India where people are walking up to their thighs in water. And we know there are countries that are going to be inundated by water and be no more. We have examples of world leaders who are not necessarily just, and we have examples of people like the Dalai Lama who show a great deal of compassion. I would like us all to reflect on justice and how it manifests in our life and how we can make reparations for great injustices.
Thank you so much, Nora. We now continue the theme of justice with Saad Hayat Bajwa, also representing Islam. We are delighted to welcome Saad, the Imam of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in Vancouver and Surrey. He has served as the Imam for 8 years in Pakistan and is now serving in Canada. He is very grateful and deeply honored to be part of this interfaith event. Welcome, Saad.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mehta. My introduction was really short, so I think I can have an extra minute. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Gracious, Ever Merciful. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon you. Despite mankind's 21st century claims that we have evolved beyond the need for religion, our world is plagued by double standards and hypocrisy at every level of society. And the resulting injustice is of grave concern and grief for those of us who sincerely feel the pain of humanity. The concept of justice covers multiple facets of human life, starting with our families, to our cities, provinces, nations, and ultimately the world we live in. The hairline fractures in the skeleton of justice are not always visible, but just like anyone in this room who ever had a hairline fracture will tell you, they are incredibly detrimental to the overall structure, integrity of the bone, and are agonizing beyond words. Martin Luther King Jr. was absolutely right when he said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. In life, we cannot stand when someone steps on our toes. If a person budges in front of us in line, we suddenly become so self-righteous about seeing injustice done that we will openly humiliate them. Yet, justice demands that our indignation for upholding justice should also become inflamed when we see the rights of others being usurped. It is the responsibility of each and every human being to uphold a high standard of justice, irrespective of the situation that they may be in, whether the outcome favors them or not. Allah teaches us in the Holy Quran, chapter 4, verse 136, O ye who believe, be strict in observing justice, and be witness for the sake of Allah, even though it be against yourselves, or against parents and kindred, whether he be rich or poor. Allah is more regardful of them both than you are. Therefore, follow not your low desires, so that you may be able to act equitably. And if you conceal the truth or evade it, then remember that Allah is well aware of what you do. Ladies and gentlemen, Muslims have been directed in this verse to be ready to give testimony against themselves and their family members in order to establish the truth and for justice to be served. A Muslim's loyalty to the truth and justice must take precedence over everything else. What is absolute justice? The Holy Quran further explains in chapter 5, verse 9. O ye who believe, be steadfast in the cause of Allah, bearing witness in equity, and let not a people's enmity incite you to act otherwise than with justice. Be always just. This is nearer to righteousness, and fear Allah. Surely Allah is well aware of what you do. Thus the Holy Quran commands Muslims to be fair and just with all parties, including enemies and opponents. This is the highest standard of justice, that neither on an individual basis nor on a communal basis should the enmity of others prevent us from acting with justice. Is this not a beautiful principle to demolish the walls of hatred and create a harmonious society? But Islam does not just stop with justice. It seeks to take man to a far loftier state. The Holy Quran says that if you wish to promote love and affection and wish to remove enmity from the world, then one must go beyond justice, enact true and loving kindness. I'll share with you one incident from the Caliph of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, Hazrat Ali. Once Hazrat Ali lost his armor. A few months later, he saw his armor in the possession of a Jewish man. Hazrat Ali approached the man and asked for its return. The Jewish man refused and instead demanded that the matter be settled by the reigning Muslim judge. Hazrat Ali agreed to this demand. They went to the court. Hazrat Ali initiated the conversation. I have lost my armor and found it in this man's possession. The judge asked the Jewish man, have you anything to say? He replied, this is my armor and I own it. The judge demanded the Caliph to produce 2 witnesses to substantiate his claim. Hazrat Ali produced his worker as his first witness, who testified in his favor. The Caliph then brought forward his son as his second witness to testify for him. The Muslim judge said, I accept the testimony of your employee. However, I still need another witness, as the testimony of your son is not acceptable because his son cannot testify in favor of his father. Hazrat Ali was unable to provide another witness, so the judge settled the dispute in the favor of a Jewish man and handed the armor over to him. The Jewish man was astounded by this decision. He said, the Caliph of Muslims brought me to the court of his own appointed judge, and the judge gave a verdict against the Caliph, and the Caliph accepted the verdict gracefully without any resistance. The Jewish man glanced toward Hazrat Ali and said, your claim is true, Ali. This armor definitely belongs to you. You had lost it the other day and I found it. Therefore it is your property. Please accept it. Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu anhu, the wise Caliph who lived by the teachings of the Holy Quran, replied, I give you not only my armor but also my horse as a gift. This is the level of justice that Islam calls for. I conclude my remarks with an advice of the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz. He said, if we truly want peace in our time, then we must act with justice. We must value equality and fairness. Whether Muslim or non-Muslim, we should pursue the universal standards of justice outlined in the Holy Quran. As the Prophet of Islam, may peace and blessings be upon him, so beautifully stated, we must love for others what we love for ourselves. We must love for others what we love for ourselves. We must pursue the rights of others with the same zeal and determination that we pursue our own rights. We should broaden our horizons and look at what is right for the world rather than what is only right for us. These are the means for peace in our age, and this is how we can establish a just and harmonious society. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. So now we welcome Dr. Anu Patel, representing the tradition of Brahma Kumaris. By profession, she is a research scientist in pharmaceutical medicine discovery, owner and CEO of a pharmaceutical company called Pharma Inventor Inc. at the University of British Columbia. She connected with the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization for 9 years and practices the yoga meditation of Raja to teach it to others. She says, I have realized the intrinsic value of having spiritual principles in life that keep constant balance and peace, as well as happiness in the family. And she will be speaking on the virtue of humility. Welcome, Dr. Anu.
Hello, good evening, Sat Shri Akal, Om Shanti. Whatever words you may use to the greetings, what is that others feel is what is the vibration, feeling you are radiating. So first of all, I want to thank Dr. Alexina for the kind introduction and inviting me to be a part of this beautiful platform where all different faiths that we believe in come together, and when we speak, we don't speak anything different. We all want that harmony, that peace, that love, that happiness in life. I also want to thank Gyaniji, Mr. Harminder, for thinking about me and connecting me with Alexina. So I'm here today. So I'll be speaking about humility. It's an honor to be here in the celebration of the 550th birthday of Guru Nanak Ji. So when we think of Guru Nanak Ji, when we remember him today here, what is that we feel? We feel the peace, we feel the respect, we feel like bowing down to that great soul. And why we feel that? Because of the virtues that he showed, he taught us all. So it is the virtues, the inner values that bring value, essence to our life. As somebody said it right, virtues are, for me, it's within me. I hold the virtues. It is not about others in the context that when I'm interacting with others, it is my values, my virtues that will show in my personality, and that is what will bring accordingly the result. So I am connected with Brahma Kumaris Meditation Center, where we practice meditation, where it is a self-study. It is to understand and know what are virtues and values, and understand also that when I act with that virtue or value, how do I feel? Do I feel happiness? Do I feel peace? We connect in a practical way and understand it, and then we practice to have it in our life, in our actions. So humility is giving respect, being kind to others. Whenever you will interact with others, they will feel good, they'll feel respected. And I can only do that when I have respect for myself, or I like myself, or I have love for myself. So think about being angry. When you are angry at somebody, when you are feeling grudge for somebody, how do you feel? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel good at all when you are angry? And think about when you love somebody, how do you feel? These are the little observation, experiment to know what is a value, what is not a value. And we all know how to love. We love our children, we love our spouse, we love our loved ones. So if I can love one person, I can love the whole society, everyone. The only thing that is missing is that inclusive vision, that we are all one family with one God, and that's what we all believe. We, in the heart, understand that, feel that. So everyone is God's child. We belong to the same family, and I shower love on them when I interact with others. It's very easy when we understand that I am able to love. So why I will choose not to love one or other? Let me love everyone. That will happen only when I have only understanding for others. I see everybody with respect. They are also God's child, and we are all here to live happily and in peace. Right? Anybody wants to live without peace in this world? No. But it starts with me. When I'm peaceful, I can give peace in my interaction. When I'm happy, I can give happiness in my interaction. When I'm loving, I love myself based upon my virtues and inner values. I can love others, not based upon my arrogance or achievements. Whatever we may do in this world, any profession, or a mother who takes care of the household, we need virtues and values, because that is the only thing that can bring happiness in life and harmony in the world. Just one more thing. Think of the tree. When the tree bears fruits, it bows down, it bends down. It is not bending down with heaviness, but with the happiness of sharing, because it understands that the tree is full of fruits, and the tree also knows that the sun is constantly shining to make me full again. I'm not losing anything. I'm an unending source of love, happiness, peace for others, because that sun of the Almighty, the Supreme Soul, is constantly shining upon me, and God is the ocean of virtues. So, also like somebody said, we are never alone. I'm always with God, and when I give virtue, I bring happiness to my own life. So, look at yourself, smile, how beautiful souls, energy you are, and more we self-reflect on the self, we can start to appreciate others, we can start to see goodness in others and share the love that we hold within. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anu. Beautiful. I think everybody's smiling. When you tell people to smile, it's hard not to. So next we are very happy to welcome Imam Fode Drame, representing Sufism. He will be speaking on the virtue of candor. Imam was born in the Senegambia region of West Africa. He descends from the clan of Jakanki, whose unique expression of Islam dates back over 1100 years, when Drame's people first accepted Islam and became the primary teachers, healers, and religious leaders for the entire region. By the age of 5, Imam had begun his formal studies, which included not only putting to memory the entirety of the Quran, but also the detailed study of Arabic grammar, poetry, Quranic exegesis, and excellence, also known as Sufism. In addition, Imam Drame is gifted in languages before leaving his native Gambia for Quebec to pursue a Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics at the University of Quebec. He had already taught himself French, German, Greek, Hebrew, and Latin. Since arriving in Canada in the 1990s, Imam has continued in the tradition of Jakanki Imams by serving as a community leader and scholar of Islam. However, he has also been an extraordinary teacher of Quranic exegesis, a guide for spiritual development, and a healer to all those who seek his support. Welcome, dear Imam Fode Drame.
Thank you all. Of course, I'm inducted to all the speakers who came before me. They have enlightened the path for me and made my task very easy. And I'm very happy to be part of this wonderful gathering. We spoke about Sufism. Sufism is the aspect of Islam that deals with the science of translating divine attributes into human virtues. Translating divine attributes into human virtues. That's what Sufism is about. Essentially, there are seven main virtues. Seven. And these seven sort of are the mother virtues from which all other virtues branch off. The first one is called the virtue of repentance. And another name for that would be humility, as one of the speakers spoke about. And then the virtue of candor, or purity. And that's what I'm going to talk about in particular, because I was inspired to choose that virtue because of the two words which are sort of the two major tenets of Sikhism, which is Wahid and Khalis. I'm going to come back to that. Wahid means one, and Khalis means pure. So Kando is the combination of Wahid and Khalis. So that's the second virtue. The third virtue is the virtue of reverence. The fourth virtue is the virtue of excellence. The fifth virtue is the virtue of patience or steadfastness. The seventh virtue is the virtue of uprightness. And the seventh virtue, and the last one, is the virtue of trusting. So these are the seven virtues that my entire teaching is based on. That's what I teach around the world. So coming back to the second virtue, which is my topic today, the virtue of candor, the virtue of purity. Spoke about purity. Is a divine attribute, which in human terms translates into the concept of unity and oneness. So hence the word Wahid, which is also a name of God, both in Sikhism and also in Islam, because God is one. So his oneness at the same time means purity, meaning that anything that is not whole cannot be pure. To be pure, it has to be complete and whole and one. And the best thing that represents that both unity and purity in our world is water. Water is a symbol of unity. When all its particles, they merge together, you can't separate them. So that's water. And also when we need to purify ourselves, we need water. So water is the symbol of purity and unity. And out of that, the combination of purity and unity comes other virtues, like the virtue of beauty. Water is beautiful, it's fluid, it's gracious, it's gentle. So all this flows out of this one virtue. And the same thing for each of these seven virtues. So it is very impressive that the founding, the pillars on which the religion of Sikhism is based on is these two, Wahid and Khalis. And hence we have the entire concept of Khalistan and Khalis in everything that runs through Sikhism. So I'm very, very impressed, and I feel that I'm already on family grounds coming here and speaking to all of you. And of course, those who have studied Sikhism in depth knows very well that the interaction that Guru Nanak had with Sufi masters, whether it was in India or it was in Arabia. So that interaction that happened 550 years ago is what has brought me here today to continue and to forge that interaction between Sufism and Sikhism. And I hope that this is just a beginning of that interaction and that friendship between our traditions. So when we say that God is one, Allah al-Wahid, there's a difference between Wahid and Ahad. Wahid means one, and Ahad means unique. Both are God's attributes. Wahid, oneness, means that all-inclusiveness. And Ahad, uniqueness, means exclusiveness. So they are both God's attributes. So here we're talking about Wahid, one, meaning that purity also means to be all-inclusive. Because anything that you reject takes away from the wholesomeness of the whole. So therefore, nothing can be excluded because that is going to impact on the concept of purity and unity, which is God. So this is why I'm here today, to share with you a little bit of what God has put in my heart. And when I was coming, I wasn't sure what I was going to say. And I have a driver, my student and driver who drove me here, Numan from Pakistan, and from a place that's very close to where Guru Nanak was born. So he briefed me a little bit about the history and so forth, and that helped me. So when I came also, when I saw the word Wahid at the entrance and the word Khalis, I said, I got my material now. I'm ready for the speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Imam. Okay, so we have an extra speaker. Mr. Majid Lakhani, please come to the front. Thank you very much. So I don't have a bio for you.
I'll introduce myself.
You can do that for us, yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Peace to all of you. My name is Majid Lakhani. I am trained as a PwC Chartered Accountant internationally, and I've worked across the world, Americas, Europe, Asia, Middle East, my training. I was born and did my junior school in Bombay and senior school in Karachi. Born in a Sunni conservative Muslim family, never reconciled with the practices and the hypocrisy I saw. I sort of had a break into UK, where I did further studies and carried on my career. In my journey of truth has been over some 4+ decades. And my career took me all around the world. And I looked at almost all kind of faiths, various sects of Islam, Christianity. I looked at Judaism. I looked at how the Hindu sort of reconcile into their culture, because their religion is more as much as you sort of want to take on it. And Buddhism, of course, and Zoroastrianism, and you name it. And it was, I had the opportunity to go around and look at different faiths, and eventually I sort of reconciled to myself that all of them stand for peace, goodness, virtues. And whatever you see in the world, and we cannot ignore the pragmatics, that people in minority everywhere sort of turn fanatics, and they sort of take good teaching sometimes, and they would exploit it to their whatever political gains or whatever other material vested interests they might have. And politicians always have seen across the world and in the history that they're reconciling with the clergies to sort of mesmerize the masses into ritualism and to divide and rule effectively. So anyway, since I've looked at everything, my analysis is very simple. Everyone is reconciling into peace. Everyone is standing for virtue. And if the minority is driving them to what you call disharmony in the world, and I've seen the broader peaceful communities, in all faiths, are somehow keeping silent. And the need of hour is to really unite in those particular voices of peace and come forward. And because there's such an immense great number in all faiths, the believers of peace, that they could calm that minority which they sort of take them for riding almost every part of the world, since I've gone around and lived more than 100 countries. And that was not out of tourism intention. I never went anywhere for pleasure. My work took me everywhere. And everywhere I had regional responsibilities, and mostly I operated at sea levels at large conglomerates all across the world. And I would give you a message which pretty much reconciles I've seen in faith, all kinds of faiths. Islam stands for, in fact I'll quote an ayat from verse from Quran, which says that it doesn't matter what level you put on yourself, Muslim or whatever. It doesn't matter where you turn your head to. It won't matter what name you give to the Almighty Creator. It is what you sort of do, your deeds, that would matter. That would decide your faith and the fate. So what a sort of message of harmony, and that reflects, I've seen, in all so-called religions, I would say. What happens in most of the places I've seen, people interfere with heavenly message, and they introduce contradictions. Like I've seen Bible, great 10 commandments, and then some commandments would, almost like commandments, would feel like to drive you to disharmony. Same like Hinduism, great. Vedas is great message. And somehow some messages would come out of some scripture as if they're not asking for total peace. Same I've seen in Islam. Quran is all the message of reconciling nature, peace, love, and the world is for everyone to share, because God has created enough resource, and it's asking you to hold on to your greed and share beyond your need and create welfare. In fact, so-called Muslim countries, and I've lived in all of them through my career, are so-called because not a single one of them abide by the real values. But when I came to so-called non-Muslim countries, particularly the western side, they are in fact more Muslims than so-called Muslim countries, because they sort of implement Quranic principles of fairness, equity, justice, human rights, welfare, you name it. So, as I said, that verse goes that you sort of put whatever label on yourself, it's what you do matters. And in fact, all of those extremists, so-called Muslims or Hindus or KKR kind of Christians, they are really not part of the mainstream and they're away from the faith. I would rather recommend the non-Muslim leaders and countries, to claim the book which they are following, Quran, because it belongs to more to them in practice than the so-called Muslim country. Then they would be ashamed and reconciled perhaps together. And so the same goes with the other religions. So I don't want to speak too much on this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your thoughts, Mr. Lakhani. Well, I think we need to give everybody a very large round of applause right now. And let's also give the beautiful audience in front of us another round of applause. It is truly an honor to be with you here today in recognition of these warriors and warrioresses that are sitting before us here, who, as various speakers have reiterated to us, are standing in their inner knowing of their belief in virtue and in bringing virtue into our daily lives, in all of our actions, our words, and in our thoughts. And you can see that after 2 hours of listening to their wisdom and their hearts, that this requires contemplation for all of us. Each of us here is invited to make a deeper commitment in the same way that Guru Nanak Ji made his commitment for the love of God. Who is this commitment for? Is it for us? Is it for our families? Yes, and yes. And it's also to honor that which gives us life, breath, as Dr. Tanya spoke about, and joy, to be alive, to really appreciate every single moment that we're here. It's a precious gift to be here. And your gift of being here is the same as my gift, is the same as everyone's here. We all have the great privilege of being alive. And to express these virtues of God is the gift that we can give one another. So let's all come together in a greater commitment to respect each other. Can we make that commitment together? Yes? Regardless of anything, we can all find reverence in each other because all of us contain the seed of light, which is love and all of the virtues. Everyone, regardless of anything else. And if when we see each other, we remember this fact, we will be able to have more harmony with one another. And we will be more inspired to continue to show up every day because we are precious and everyone, every single person and living creature on this planet is precious. So let's continue this legacy that we've all cultivated here this evening as we move forward in our lives. Let's continue to stand for interfaith. These kinds of dialogues are really important. I'm really happy that we've had a wonderful audience online, and this will also be shown on YouTube. So please share it with your friends and your communities. and come talk to us about your questions. Let's keep the conversation going. This is the way that we learn from one another. I've learned many things from a variety of the speakers here tonight. I'm sure that everyone here has. That we can take these pearls of wisdom and bring them into our lives and begin to live more from these places each and every day. So on that note, thank you so much, everyone. We are going to have a formal thank you and a presentation of gifts to our beautiful speaker panel. In just a moment, we have some plaques and chocolates as well. And we would love a photo opportunity for the guest speakers, so please don't leave right away. We would love to take a group photo. Also, I would like to mention that langar, which is the communal meal, will be served in the downstairs of the temple, just over on the left. So please, everyone, I'm sure you're starving by now. It's time to celebrate and enjoy a beautiful meal together. And on that note, thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor. And I'd like to call up Mr. Drame.Dr. to do the final thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta ji, and thanks all the guests and the audience. It was a wonderful day today. We shared with each other. That's the way to spread the message of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. In the one God, we are God's creation. When we are God's creation, we love each other. We are equal. We work honestly. We share with others and try to be united. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message is, he traveled 30,000 kilometers and his message is peace, virtues, stand for justice, have honest earnings, share with your earnings with the needy, and spread this message through the world. Thank you very much. We learned so much from each other. That's the way to bring peace within ourselves and bring the peace in this world. Thank you, Dr. Ji. We are a good father. I request our Gyani Ji, Harmandir Singh Ji, please come to the stage and we will honor all the guests with the token of plate. Thank you, सारे जने दा जी। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਫੈਲਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ। ਗੁਰੂ ਕੇ ਲੰਗਰ ਤਿਆਰ ਹਨ, ਲੋੜ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਛਕੇ ਜਾਵੇ।